Yeah, today's video is going to be quite unbelievable, to be honest, because it's just quite unbelievable that this kind of thing could happen. But a couple of days ago, Labour posted a promotional video on their TikTok channel, and the first I've heard about this is today. It's not been spoken much about by the mainstream media, but anyway, they put a TikTok video on their they put a promotional video on their TikTok channel. And this video depicted animals dressed up in human clothing. Like, it had a hare dressed up as a nurse and a bulldog dressed up as a police officer, and it also contained a lion that seems to be dressed up as a politician, like them suggesting that they're lions. No, you're not lions. You're absolute cowards, to be honest. Not lions at all. You're absolutely useless. They should have tried a parasite. They should have got some blood-sucking parasite for the politician. But anyway, this video was AI generated, and it had a soundtrack in the background. So I'll just read what the Guardian says about this to start with. It says, Labour apologises for TikTok video with inappropriate soundtrack. Now, inappropriate soundtrack is probably the understatement of the decade. I mean, we'll carry on anyway. The Labour Party has apologised for using a soundtrack with completely inappropriate lyrics in a promotional TikTok video. The video features AI-generated animals, including a hare dressed as a nurse, a bulldog in a police uniform, and a hedgehog wearing dungarees. But the party took the video down when viewers swiftly translated the Portuguese language lyrics to the backing track by DJ Hollander, which describe smoking marijuana and having sex with a bitch. Now, obviously, before I go into any more into it, like, people are going to prison to this day for possession of marijuana. Now, this video is supposed to have been aimed at 14 to 16-year-old people that use TikTok. So why are they using lyrics like smoking marijuana in it? Now, I know this was written in a different language, but nowadays it is quite easy to translate foreign languages. And why would they choose that kind of song that promotes the use of marijuana? And I've got nothing against the use of marijuana. Up until recently, I was smoking marijuana myself, and I've been smoking it for a long time. And it's, like I said, I've got nothing against the use of marijuana, but the British government clearly have, because there's people that are still going to prison to this day for possession of marijuana. So them actually encouraging crime. But let's carry on anyway, reading the story. The lyrics to Monty Gem Carol urge a naughty young girl to sit on the singer's pot crazy dick, and ends with repetition of the line, just a punch in the young girl's pussy. Perfect combination is sex, beer and marijuana, sings DJ Hollander, whose real name is Lucas Hollander. The young girls are addicted. These are some of the lyrics that was used in a Labour promotional video that they uploaded themselves onto TikTok and then taken down a couple of days later, or maybe the same day, I don't know, when they realised that people clocked on to what the lyrics meant. And this hasn't been reported by much of the mainstream media. I'm reading it at The Guardian now, and it's had an article in the Daily Mail, and a couple of Sky News, I think, have done an article about it, but there's very little on YouTube about it. The only thing I can really find on YouTube is GB News, and GB News claims to hold these people accountable for their actions, but then quickly dismisses it as some kind of accident. And I don't believe it is some kind of accident. This happened like a couple of days before, or maybe just one day before, I'm not really sure, but it was pretty close to Labour blocking a inquiry into the grooming gangs. So they're actually blocking inquiries into grooming gangs and then using videos of music that is saying young girls are addicted, just a punch in the young girl's pussy. And absolutely disgraceful behaviour from any political party, let alone the actual government, the elected government of the United Kingdom. These should all be finished for this. This is again Absolutely ridiculous. The only trouble is with finishing dummies. I don't think there's anybody much better to take over once you get rid of these, because if people think Nigel Farage is any different to anybody else who's involved, then I'm sorry, you're going to be very disappointed. No, he's not. He's no different to anybody else that is involved in running for government in this country at the moment. But I mean, what makes me laugh is the hypocrisy of these absolute deluded woke idiots, because that's what they are. They're nothing but deluded woke idiots that speak nothing but nonsensical crap constantly. That's what these people do. They're just, I mean, my local MP round here is a woman called Julia Buckley. Now, Julia Buckley recently has had her office trashed, spray painted. I mean, it says trashed, like vandalised, it described it as in the BBC. But to what I can see on the news article, unless there's something I'm not seeing, it seems to me like somebody's just got some spray paint and spray painted black spray paint all over her office. And I was reading an article in the BBC yesterday about this, and Julia Buckley said there's no need for violence. I mean, that isn't violent. You can't commit violence against a glass window and against a sign, can you? So it's not violence for a start off. You fucking idiot. Do you know what I mean? It's the people who are suffering violence are the people that are suffering from these grooming gangs that your stupid political party is too scared to investigate because you don't want to be seen as racist. Now, them people are suffering from violence, not people like you fucking parasite. And, you know, encouraging violence against young girls in music videos, in promotional videos on TikTok is disgraceful behaviour, especially when we live in a day and age where there is people that have actually gone to prison for things that they have posted on Facebook and other social media platforms, which are much, much less offensive to the vast majority of people than what these people are promoting now, than what the Labour government are promoting now. If I was to go on TikTok and say, I'll punch Julia Buckley in a disgusting pussy, then obviously I would be in big trouble, wouldn't I? I'd probably go to prison. They'd probably lock me up for it because they'd say that I'm a danger. I mean, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And Julia Buckley is an absolute disgraceful person. I mean, I can't believe she's trying to go on like she's a victim of violence because somebody spray painted her office. At the end of the day, she is nothing but a parasite like the rest of them. All of them. Every single one of them is exactly the same. They remind me of the monsters in the Little Nightmares, you know, the Little Nightmares game. That's what these people are like, honestly. And as for GB News, people think that you're going to get some sort of truth out of GB News. No, you're not going to get any truth out of GB News. GB News straight away dismisses it as a mistake. You know, it doesn't even ask them what the hell happened and how did that happen. Doesn't do anything of the sort. Doesn't even question anything. It's just straight away, it was probably a mistake. Well, that's not good enough, is it? Because there's probably hundreds of people in prison that have just made mistakes by posting something silly on Facebook when they was drunk or something, and they're still in prison for it. So why isn't whoever put that video on the internet as a Labour promotional video in prison? And why is this political party allowed to do this kind of thing? And at the same time, people like Julia Buckley, who works for this disgusting political party, try to go on like them some sort of victims of violence when somebody just got a can of spray paint and sprayed it and painted her office with it. I mean, you know, now she's crying in the newspapers because she's got to move office. It's like these people have got real problems. I mean, you've got your job, you're always in work, you're paid too much, you do nothing, you sit in a nice warm office all day doing absolutely nothing, and you get paid a decent wage for it. These grooming gang victims are not, you know, are victims of real violence that your government, that the government of this country that we elected is scared to put an inquiry into because they're so woke and they don't want to be seen offending Muslim people. I've sent an email to my local MP about this, and on the email I've written, Labour are a complete disgrace. That video and song that Labour posted on TikTok the other day is sickening. You people do not represent me or 99% of the people in this country. I do not consent to anything your sick party do, and you should all be sacked for this. It's funny how I read the other day you're crying about violence of somebody trashing your office, but your party upload violent, sick lyrics that rap about punching young girls in the pussy, and the email carries on for a little bit anyway. But that's what I've written to my local MP about it, because I am absolutely sickened by these people. These people make me actually sick, honestly. And to try to go on like you're the victim because somebody spray painted your office, when there's victims out there that have suffered from real violence, real like stress at a young age, a very young age, you know, and you block an inquiry into it and then try to claim that you're the victim because people are turning on you in your own constituency. I mean, 90% of the people in this constituency, as in 90% of the people in this country, think that you're nothing but a bunch of idiots. In fact, I would say anybody with an IQ above 50 should be able to see through these people right now. This video was put onto TikTok 2 days before they blocked an inquiry into grooming gangs. And you got this disgusting, parasitic MP called Julia Buckley, who then claims to be a victim of violence because somebody's got a can of spray paint and sprayed a bit of spray paint on her office, covering her disgusting, ugly face and making Shrewsbury look a little bit better because of it. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that anyway, to be honest. I'm honestly trying not to make angry videos anymore. I'm trying to be a little bit more calm and a little bit more measured in my approach to shit like. But when things like this come out and you see the reaction to what these people say about it later, it's really hard not to get angry, because I'm absolutely deluded. They're nothing but a bunch of overpaid, underworked scumbags, parasites, the lot of them, sucking the blood out of the country, making everybody else poor, at the same time making themselves and their own friends rich. I mean, and then try to go in on like the victim because of some sort of violence. What about the violence that the Labour government committed in Iraq a few, 20 years ago, when they started killing hundreds of thousands of people in Iraq and all this sort of stuff? What about the violence that this government, but as soon as the violence comes back around to them, all of a sudden then, there's a problem, and they go on like them a victim of violence. You're not a victim of violence. The people who are victim of grooming gangs are victims of violence, and you don't care about victims of violence. So you're just absolutely useless at your job. You're a parasite. The rest of your political party is a parasite, and you should be stopped, to be honest. A lot of you should be stopped straight away. I mean, the only trouble is with stopping you is that we don't really have anything decent to replace them with, because they're all the same. I mean, we need a change in this country. I think we'd be better off with no government. It couldn't be much worse. We might as well not have no government. Sending people to prison for possession of marijuana, for selling fire sticks and stuff, and they're even starting to consider prison sentences for people using fire sticks and stuff now, so they say. But at the same time, they refuse to put money into funding and inquiry into grooming gangs that have been reported consistently throughout the United Kingdom recently. And I know it's not just Muslims that are doing it, but they're definitely doing it as well. And every grooming gang that is working, especially as an organisation and a massive scale like the one in Warsaw that was done a couple of years ago, should be investigated and stopped by the government, because that is what the government's job is, to keep law and order in the country. If you can't even do that, then you're not competent. So I'm going to leave it at that anyway. Thank you very much for watching. I'm out.